What's up, guys? It's Mike for Simracing 604, and today we're going to be looking at the results of a survey I asked you to fill out, and over 300 of you, as you can see here, took the time to do that, and I really appreciate that. It took you about 3 minutes, I hope. Didn't take too long, but 300 of you were kind enough to do it, and I just can't thank you enough for that. It means a lot. And just a note for any content creators who are watching this and hoping to sort of improve their channel, take notes. I've gone through these results and there's some very interesting things here, and those of you who aren't content creators, I think you might find some value in this as well. So starting off, I asked you, what is your favorite sim for offline single player racing? And overwhelmingly, Assetto Corsa. And something to note with these responses is, of course, my audience skews strongly towards what I feature on the channel. So stands to reason that other channels might, prefer iRacing or Forza or something like that if the channel featured that more. So anyway, about 44% of you chose Assetto Corsa as your preferred offline. I think that's a solid choice. I love Assetto Corsa. Followed by R Factor 2, and then Project Cars 2 coming in with just less than 10%, and then Automobilista. Again, my audience probably skews towards that, reason being is I feature AMS somewhat frequently on this channel. I love that sim, so I don't think if you polled sort of a wider audience of sim racing that 10% would be Automobilista, but you never know. And then finally Race Room with a little less than 9%. Cool to see Race Room getting some love. So Assetto Corsa followed by R Factor 2. Online racing. Now I gotta admit, I kind of botched this. So originally the first 30 or so people who filled this out did not have iRacing as an online option. I totally dropped the ball on that. I apologize, guys. But about 270 of you would have seen the iRacing option for online racing preferences. So take this with a grain of salt like everything else in this survey, but surprisingly about 26% of you prefer Assetto Corsa for online racing. And I say surprisingly because I've found the online to be sort of cumbersome with Assetto Corsa. Once I actually get into the race, it's great, but I do find the interface sort of cumbersome, and it's something I hope they improve for Assetto Corsa, Assetto Corsa 2, and preferably Assetto Corsa Competizione. Competizione, however you say that. And about 24% of you do prefer iRacing, even though I never feature it on this channel. Respect that. Race Room, 9.3%, preceded by Project Cars 2 with its very easy to use online system. Although it attracts a fair amount of trolls, it still gets 12% of the vote. Moving on to which of the following you race with. I got something to discuss here, guys. So most of you, 61% of you, are single screen only, followed by 22% of the sim racers that took the time to fill this out use VR. And just a note that globally for Steam, that number is somewhere between 4 and 10%, depending on who you believe. And then finally, 11.5% of you using triples. The reason I say it's something to talk about is because the no VR, no buy crew, I've always called you a vocal minority, and I think this kind of helps reinforce that point, that the developers, if they're looking at their audience, if they did a similar poll and saw that the majority were using single screen, that's where their development money would go. If I'm being completely honest, they want to give you a better single screen experience, and VR would be an afterthought. It's just the blunt truth of the sort of finances behind it. So that's all I got to say about that. When you watch sim racing on YouTube, which do you prefer? Overwhelmingly, you prefer the non-VR cockpit view. Very interesting. I didn't think it would be that. And less than 20% of you prefer the VR view. That's actually the one I prefer. If I'm watching, Jimmy Broadbent or something like that, I do like to see him race in VR. As long as the content creator can keep their frame rate up, that's what I prefer. But I do not share the views of the majority. So 63% of you prefer the non-VR cockpit view, and a lot of you prefer the TV cam. That's cool as well. And 4% of you prefer the bonnet or hood view. I never run that, and I never find a use for it, but interesting to know that there's more than a few of you that like it. Next up, Yeah, this was a check all that apply, hence the reason it adds up to more than 100%. But the Preferred over anything is the wheel or rig cam. That's very interesting. I'm going to have to set that up on my own rig, which means I have to clean my garage. So curse you people for voting this, but I'm due to clean the garage anyway. Followed by the presenter's face. I have started doing that more and more on this channel. So cool to see that 45% of those surveyed do like to see that. Pedal cam is the last one. It's too dark in my garage. I can't get a pedal cam going. I'm going to need some extra lights, and I just can't be bothered for now, but good to know for future. And then the TV cam overlay. I do that sometimes. I like to see it personally when I watch somebody else's content, so sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, but about 37% of you like to see that. Cool to know. By the way, very easygoing audience, obviously, because it's not like, you know, 1% of you or something liked a certain overlay. So very interesting to see that so many of you like all the different ones. All right, this is a big one. Content creators, take note. When you watch sim racing on YouTube, do you like to hear commentary during a race or hot lap session? 91% of those surveyed do. So those of you that upload hot laps with no commentary or races with commentary, just know that your audience prefers you to talk. Overwhelmingly, your audience prefers you to talk. It's better. And of that remaining 9%, 7% of that likes to hear it during their race. So only a tiny, tiny amount of people, 2%, want to hear nothing from you. So be sure to give some sort of voice overlay with your videos. It's going to help. And we talked earlier about how the results would be skewed. Yeah, do they ever? So PC sim racing, about 95% of my audience races on PC. So I am pretty much going to dismiss all PlayStation content. And Xbox I've never featured, but interesting to know that 8% of you also own an Xbox. Home built and cheap gets that one vote. And PSP for playing Gran Turismo. You win the day, sir. That's a wicked response. I love it. I love it. And I say sir, by the way, here's a fact that wasn't in my survey. About 99.5% of my audience is male. So if you hear me say guys, it's no disrespect to the 0.5. It's just catering to the overwhelming majority. What sim racing channels do you follow? I'm not going to read these one by one, obviously, right now, guys. You guys were very kind to add all these, but I just simply do not have time to read this. What I'm going to do is break it out and do sort of a I don't know, some sort of, not voting system, but the ones that get a certain amount, I'll set some threshold, and those who got multiple votes, I will do a video to help promote their channels. But I'm going to need some time. Oh boy. Chris Hay makes awesome videos. Could not agree more. Thank you guys. A couple of you voted for me. Really appreciate that. Sorry, I know I said I wouldn't talk about this right now, but it's just very, very interesting. Oh, awesome. Thanks, guys. All of them. He likes everything. Bring it on. I'll watch whatever's going. Thank you, guys. So many of you voted for me. That's great. And I see a lot of my friends here getting votes, too, so very, very cool. Usual suspects. That's a cool one. Kaiser Soze. Very cool. Oh, many. He likes many. Anyway, all right, let's move on. But thank you for all the votes. That means everything. And I'll put those together in a separate video. What is the next piece of gear you plan to buy? Look at this. Very even distribution here. The majority of you want to buy a PC or PC tower components. Obviously, is it ever done? It's kind of like rebuilding a car. When is it done? So yeah, not surprising that ranked number one. A close second though is a steering wheel or a wheelbase. That's fascinating. I would refer you to my friend William Marsh over at the Sim Racing Paddock. He's done a lot of wheel reviews. Blanking on his name. Sean Cole from the Sim Pit also does excellent wheel reviews, and a number of other channels, but those are the two that come to mind. They will help you out with that purchase for sure. Pedals, a lot of you buying pedals as well. It's kind of where I'm at. I don't know, sim rig or pedals. I'm not in any rush. I'm happy with the way things are, but if I do find some money next Christmas, perhaps with a Christmas bonus, maybe we'll get some Huskenveld pedals, I'm not sure. 12.8% of you looking for that sim rig or wheel stand, and finally monitors and TV. For those wondering about VR, this is VR right here. So a little over 7% of you looking to buy VR in the near future. How would you rate your ability to set up or tune a car in sim racing? Okay, content creators, once again, take note. Look at this big bubble in the middle here. Most of us, I would rate myself about a 3 personally, and yeah, there's a lot. I think I can't add that fast, but I'm going to say half of those surveyed fall somewhere in the middle. Content creators, we need help. As a 3 on the scale myself, I need somebody to help tie the greater picture of tunes and setups together. It'd be awesome. Let's keep those videos coming. I know Chris Hay did an excellent job, but I need a bit more. We all need more, or 50% of us roughly need a lot more. So there is a window for doing more setup videos for sure. What sequel would you most look forward to? This one surprised me as well. A lot of you would look forward to Assetto Corsa 2. Don't get me wrong, I would as well. I'm just surprised it ranked as high as it did. With Competizione on the horizon, I got to be honest, Assetto Corsa 2 probably not high on Kunos's list. You have, a year plus of support for Competizione before they move on to new projects. So I would say, 2023 maybe for Assetto Corsa 2, 2022 maybe, but not for a while, guys. Automobilista 2, I put Rizza 2019 because I think originally they had titled the follow-up to Automobilista 2 as Rizza 2017. That didn't happen, nor did Rizza 2018, so holding out hope for Rizza 2019, but let's be honest, that's probably not going to happen, but I can't wait to see it. But I think it's going to be great, whatever it is. R Factor 3, yeah, again, I don't think this one will happen anytime soon, much like Assetto Corsa Studio 397 is still putting so much weight behind R Factor 2, and I don't think they've really hit its limit yet, so I think R Factor 3 would be something quite in the distance. Project Cars 3, bad news for you, 10.4%. Just speculation on my part, but I think you might need a new console to at least take full advantage of Project Cars 3. I think Slightly Mad Studios will probably use it as sort of a selling feature. I don't know if they'll go console exclusive for their new console or if it'll just have special features, but I think they'll use it as a sales incentive for their new console, but we'll see where that lands. Race Room 2, GTR 3. Again, I'm not trying to be negative here, but I was just thinking about GTR 3. We have heard from Simbin that GTR 3 will not be as sim-like as Race Room. So unfortunately, if you're looking for a racing sim, GTR 3 probably ain't going to be it, but that's not to say it won't be awesome in its own right. What sim has improved over the past year? I thought that Race Room would win this, but it got only about 11% of the vote. Assetto Corsa and its mods. Yeah, I mean, you consider over the past year, so let's say, all of 2018, we got rain, we got day-night transitions, we got a whole bunch of really amazing mod cars, we got a lot of amazing mod tracks. Yeah, unsurprisingly, 45%. R Factor 2, also huge improvements. That game just keeps getting better and better, and its DLC packs are the best in the business, in my opinion. And a little bit of love there, about 5% of you, for the monthly updates from Gran Turismo Sport, adding cars for free quite often. And finally, guys, what type of car do you drive most in sim racing? Most of you drive, about 62% of you drive GT cars primarily. I expected it to win. I thought it would get maybe 40%, but 60% is quite overwhelming. That's quite something. Followed by open wheelers at 16% roughly, and touring cars at 6.6%. Fascinating. So I thought hypercars, sports cars would rank higher, but only about 5%. So anyway, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for voting. A lot of interesting results here. I like to see what you guys are thinking about. It's very cool. I will certainly be using the information on what you like to watch on YouTube, those questions in the middle that talked about overlay and things like that. I will be using that to improve the channel, and I hope others will as well. And very interesting to know what you guys are thinking. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this once again. I will follow up this video with a video on your favorite sim racing channels and help promote them, and you might discover some great channels through that as well. Thanks guys, and we'll see you next time.